Welcome to this video on the Zenware channel. My name is Sri Satguru, Buddha Rawa Bhagwan. Today we're going to talk about magical street technologies. Okay, so magical systems that target the streets of cities. Whether these streets have foolishly, in a way, or efficiently, however you want to call it, street names, or whether they do not. So without street names, it's much harder for someone to understand the layout and the streets and to understand how these streets operate. But with street names, it makes it more efficient. For example, when you have a lot of immigration or something like that. So advantages to both. But streets can be targeted, and streets in a system of microcosm and macrocosm which interconnect can be targeted. And they are a grid on the planet, and they associate to certain things. So if one targets specific streets in specific places, one can target specific functions in the computer program in which we exist. Magic is the means to use backdoors. So to send something into the back door so that something can be sent back into the front door. That is essentially the process of magic. We are currently in the front operating end, the user interface, physical reality, and there are all the other locas of existence in which things work, and magic affects things, changes things here to trigger something in the back door, which will change reality in a different way, in a greater way than the action that was taken. Let's say it that way. So it's a ping pong effect, right? And there are different magical systems as well, but that's one way to understand it. So magical street technologies exist. There are buildings on the sides of streets. There are businesses, there are homes, there are many different buildings, and they are all telling you a message, right? When you are walking down the street, do you walk oblivious to everything? Are you not thinking about everything? Or are you aware of everything you are walking by, of the street name that you just passed, right? The street that you just passed, how things look, whether it's the day where certain processes like trash are happening, whether it's what's in the sign, what's the name of that building you just passed, what's the sign say, what's the meaning of that name, right? Things are identified by names in the system. It is one of the identification methods of objects and systems, names. So the purpose of this video is to talk about names and the identification of items and names. When you are looking for items that are out of place, when you are looking for systems that are out of place, you are looking often for discrepancies at the level of the name. The level of the name is usually where discrepancy will be announced by systematic processes. So that means basically that if you're walking by a building like a restaurant and you see that there are multiple names on the restaurant, not just one name, there's one name, but there's also another name. For example, perhaps it's an old name and there's a new name and they haven't changed the old name, the old sign, something like that. Well, you know that something is going on there. Now, what is going on there? There's a process that's going on there, because there's a process where a name has not been switched fully over to another one. So that leaves a situation of ambiguity over that location and its physical appearance, or the way it is presenting itself or showing itself to your visual senses. So you notice a discrepancy, right? If it is, for example, one of those names, maybe it's not one of those names. Maybe those are not the right names. Maybe it is the right name. It leaves an ambiguity. And these are things that can be sensed in the system. You can see where there are discrepancies in the system. And if a building is showing ambiguity at the level of its naming conventions, right, of its name, why is it doing that? Why is it not conforming with the way the building should be conforming? Is it because there's a master there and there's someone who's working processes there? Is that what the building is telling you? Because the building is talking to you. The appearance is talking to you. It's how it's showing, how it's glowing, its aura is talking to you. The building is talking to you. What is in the window? What is on the door? Is it open? Is it closed? Is there a sign? What type of building is it as well? Is it a residential building? The information you are getting tells you a lot of things. And if you identify a discrepancy at the level of the name or the naming conventions, it means that something odd is happening, something weird is happening. Because most systems in this computer program are clearly identified by name. Even when you drive around in your car, you have a license plate, a name identification on your system identifying you and when you're moving around as a system in this computer program. So when there's a discrepancy at the level of the name, like someone who has more than one name, for example, this makes a security risk, a security flag. And for anyone who's working with magical systems, this can be perceived immediately. When you see someone who's presenting more than one name, if they're not lying about more than one name, it tells you, for example, that they might be occupying different names, different places, different processes. They might be involved in different functions with different names, right? Some names might be known, some might be unknown. Some people might have aliases, and some people don't have aliases. Why do some people have aliases and some people don't have aliases, right? So name discrepancies are extremely important, and this applies to magical perception as well. So when you're walking in a building and you see, for example, a building that has one name, for example, is this place convenience store, but at the same time it has another name that says something deli or something like that, that's a red flag immediately that something is happening there where now there's a double naming process on that place. So either it's something that is in change and flux in movement at that location, or it's a process that has been put in place purposefully. So when there is dissimulation of a name, it also shows that there is ambiguity, that there is concern about a place or a location or a person. This applies to locations or individuals as well, right? Same thing, if there is missing information about a name, then that also brings an ambiguity, a context of reconsideration for any type of clearance of any security protocols. So you have to understand that when you have to be aware of everything at all times, aware of details. And the more you have vidya, so grace and knowledge of the system and how it works, and also knowledge as far as gyan, so knowledge that you have obtained, so view, sight, and knowledge, these will allow you to become more proficient at being more aware and more consciously able to recognize the things that you're aware of and to understand their deeper processes. So to dig into something, you do something called samyama, which is a form of concentration and meditation, to concentrate on an object, on the object of your meditation, to acquire knowledge about it, to acquire full knowledge about it, to merge with the object of your concentration, and to gain that knowledge and understanding. Thank you for listening to this video on the Zen Word channel.